It's amazing to me why we keep loving this country and this country does not love us back.
A number of pro sports teams have boycotted their games in a protest against racial injustice following the shooting of Jacob Blake at the hands of a cop who shot him in the back 7 times. Now, I'm going to get to the details here, and I'm also going to get to, near the end of this video, one league that really isn't doing anything at all, and a player in that league that's speaking out. But before I get there, let me start here with the headline here from WBUR. Boycott NBA, WNBA, MLB, MLS teams call off games as players protest racial injustice. Just give you a couple paragraphs here. Making their strongest statement yet in the fight against racial injustice, players from 6 NBA teams decided not to play postseason games on Wednesday in a boycott that quickly reverberated across other professional leagues. Also called off some games in Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, and 3 WNBA contests as players across 4 leagues decided the best way to use their platform and demand change was to literally step off the playing surface. Now, this all started with the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, Kenosha, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So they started this boycott, and then other teams in the NBA followed suit, and then eventually other leagues also followed suit. Let me give you one quote here. The baseless shootings of Jacob Blake and other black men and women by law enforcement underscores the need for action, the NBA Coaches Association said in a statement. Not after the playoffs, not in the future, but now. So I have several clips here to show you. Actually, first, let me get to this. This is a tennis star, Naomi Osaka, announced she would not play in her semifinal match at the Cincinnati Open on Thursday. Quote, I don't expect anything drastic to happen with me not playing, but if I can get a conversation started in a majority white sport, I consider that a step in the right direction, she said in a statement posted on Twitter. So I'm going to play the Milwaukee Bucks statement here. As I said, they were the first ones to do this, so check this out.
We are calling for justice for Jacob Blake and demand the officers be held accountable. For this to occur, it is imperative for the Wisconsin State Legislature to reconvene after months of inaction and take up meaningful measures to address issues of police accountability, brutality, and criminal justice reform. We encourage all citizens to educate themselves, take peaceful and responsible action, and remember to vote on November 3rd on behalf of the Milwaukee Bucks.
So there you go. They're protesting for real action. They want to see some real changes made. And obviously this is a great way to put a renewed focus on this issue. Now, let me share with you some other reactions here. So DeMar DeRozan tweeted out, this shit bigger than basketball. Whoever don't understand that is part of the problem. LA Clippers coach here, Don Rivers, with just a heartfelt response here that I want to share with you.
It's just so sad. What stands out to me is just watching the Republican convention, and they're spewing this fear, right? Like, all you hear is Donald Trump and all of them talking about fear. We're the ones getting killed. We're the ones getting shot. We're the ones that we're denied to live in certain communities. We've been hung, we've been shot, and all you do is keep hearing about fear. It's amazing to me why we keep loving this country and this country does not love us back. And it's really so sad. Like, I should just be a coach. And it's so often reminded of my color. You know, it's just really sad. We got to do better. But we got to demand better. Like, it's funny. We protest and they send riot guards, right? They send people in riot outfits. They go to Michigan with guns and they're spitting on cops and nothing happens. The training has to change in the police force. The unions have to be taken down in the police force. My dad was a cop. I believe in good cops. We're not trying to defund the police and take all their money away. We're trying to get them to protect us, just like they protect everybody else. I didn't want to talk about it before the game because it's so hard, like to just keep watching it. That video, if you watch that video, you don't need to be black to be outraged. You need to be American and outraged. And how dare the Republicans talk about fear? We're the ones that need to be scared. We're the ones having to talk to every black child. What white father has to give his son a talk about being careful if you get pulled over? It's just ridiculous. And it just keeps going. There's no charges. Breonna Taylor, no charges, nothing. All we're asking is you live up to the Constitution. That's all we're asking for everybody, for everyone. Thank you.
So, just an incredible statement there. I mean, let me just quickly go over some of his points. His father was a cop, and he discusses the need to take down these police unions. He also brings up he's not. It sounds like he's not for defund the police, but I think he means in the sense that it's not. It's often taken as abolish the police, when defund simply means defund, taking resources away, taking funds away. Like for example, in Wisconsin, I covered this when I covered the Jacob Blake shooting. There has been a 30% increase in law enforcement in Wisconsin since the 1980s. A 30% increase. Meanwhile, cuts to public education, cuts to healthcare, cuts to every other area, while there's been increased funding in these police forces. And what does it lead to? Situations like this. So when we talk about defund the police, it doesn't mean that you call 911 and then no one answers. It means take some of these resources away from these officers, ensure that these unions can no longer hold these cities hostage. There has to be a different approach to policing, where much of what the police do should be handled by other areas, like public health calls when it comes to anything involving, whether it's homelessness or mental health calls. There are other ways to deal with much of what the police currently do. So until you actually take their funding away, they're going to continue having the power that they have, and they're going to continue getting away with what they get away with. There is no retraining. You can't train somebody to not shoot somebody in the back. If that already isn't obvious, then what the hell are we doing? You can't retrain that. That is a problem with policing. That is a problem with these police feeling that they can get away with anything, do anything. Because for years and years and years, their budgets have been increased and their power has been increased as a result of that. You have to take their funding away. He also goes into, of course, the insanity that is the RNC that I've covered live this week. Completely insane. The amount of victimization that Republicans engage in, the fear that they engage in when black men every single day have to fear for their lives from law enforcement, from people that are supposed to be there to protect and serve them. They fear them. That's the actual fear. And then comparing one part of that statement that I want to clarify, because it may have been kind of confusing. When he was talking about the protests in Michigan. So he was referring to the right-wing protests in Michigan when they were protesting against masks. And you had right-wing protesters in the face of law enforcement, spitting, yelling, screaming, and the cops just stood there. No riot gear, nothing. They just stood there and didn't do anything. Meanwhile, you have protests against police brutality in various cities, and they bring out the riot gear. They bring out the armored trucks. There is an obvious difference in how these forces treat conservative protesters versus how they treat protesters that are just standing up for human rights. It's obvious. No more responses here. LeBron James voices support for Bucks NBA boycott. Quote, "We demand change." And here we go. So this is a conservative. I wanted to put this in here just to show you how mentally broken these people are. So Clay Travis, some conservative commentator guy, tweets out here, "Boycotting your own business is next level fascinating." Talking about the NBA boycott. That's what the NBA is doing. They are partners with the owners and share half of all league revenue. A boycott makes no sense. It just hurts them. It's cutting off your nose to spite your face. Now, I saw the perfect response to this, so I don't want to take credit for this point here, but Luke Gordon Field here tweeted out, "Conservatives literally can't understand any action that isn't motivated by self-interest." Exactly. So here you have a conservative completely fascinated, confused. Why would the NBA players boycott their own team? Doesn't that mean they're going to lose money? These people can't understand doing anything at all that isn't in their own self-interest. Comments like this completely expose what is wrong with the conservative mindset. Now, let me get to the professional team that ain't doing shit. So Evander Kane here, NHL player, tweeted out, "Major statement by the NBA players. I'm with it." So Evander Kane is one of the few black men in hockey, black players in hockey. The score here saying Evander Kane is frustrated with the NHL's lack of action in wake of the Jacob Blake shooting. His comment here, "It's great to write statements. It's great to send tweets. It's great to post stories and pictures on Instagram. But at the end of the day, it's going to be about real action and meaningful change. And unfortunately, that still isn't occurring. And we need to be better." And he follows it up here by saying, "Actually, it's incredibly insulting as a black man in hockey, the lack of action and acknowledgement from the NHL. Just straight up insulting." So I am obviously a white boy from Canada. I grew up watching the NHL. I couldn't be more disappointed in this league. And maybe disappointment's the wrong word, because honestly, I don't expect anything out of this league. They have been completely behind the curve on all of this. So, yeah, I don't know. I would love to see changes. I would love to. But you have here the one national league not doing shit during this crisis, not doing anything. Maybe putting out some tweets, we're with you, then ultimately not taking any real action, not willing to put their own dollars on the line to try and push for any change. There has to be solidarity among these leagues. Like it was amazing to see, the Bucks start this, and then ultimately it go affect the WNBA, the MLB, the MLS, and to see the NHL not jump on board here. I mean, maybe they will now after this pressure, but it's gonna come off as being late to this entire situation. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just disappointed in or disgusted really at the NHL. But good to see here these teams, these players coming together to fight against racial injustice.